Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 518, written by Scared Jury 750, Secrets of Two People Multiplying into Three. I was at my serving job on Monday night last week with 5 tables. I ended up serving these 2 guys at a table, and I took their drink orders and brought back 2 drinks, then took their 2 food orders and punched them into the system. Later, their order came up from the kitchen, and the slip said 3 wing entrees. I said, I made a mistake, I only put 2 orders in. I then turned around to see 3 guys with 3 drinks at that same table. I walked over with 3 plates, totally confused, and even said to them, I think I just glitched. For some reason, I thought there were only 2 of you here. They laughed it off and said, nope, it's 3. I wasn't tired. I started my shift at 5. Their table was straight behind the kitchen, so I think I would have noticed 3 at least once before their orders came while running other food, and I don't think I confused them with another table because my other tables were families. Case notes, file number 518. It's funny I can now say this, with so many case studies to go by. I think what happened is as simple as, you somehow died, spontaneously, which does actually happen, and then you guys know the drill. Your consciousness zipped over to another universe, and voila, quantum immortality. And now you're in a universe very similar to your own. Perhaps the only difference being, at that table, it has 3 customers instead of 2, and the you in that universe, before you had switched over, had taken their order for 3. It's kind of remarkable how many glitches quantum immortality will explain. Not all of them, but quite a few. It does make me think though of all the possible universes out there that go beyond being similar to our own. Remember, anything that can physically happen within the laws of physics can and does happen in some universe out there. Let's say if dragons are physically possible, then there's a universe out there where they exist and routinely melt the shields of brave warriors trying to plunder their booty. Honestly, I kind of wish I was in that universe sometimes. Sounds pretty epic. Minus being melted, of course. Case file number 519, written by Suga Cookies, The Universe Collecting Its Debts. I was 19 in October 2012. 3 friends and I were going to an 80s retro night. We decided to meet up instead of going to a friend's to get ready and go together, which meant no pre-partying was involved for me, as I am a social drinker. It's not fun by myself. I was dead sober until after the point of the story. Using purses or wallets is not my thing at all, so I only had my phone, keys, and debit card. I secured my card and keys into the front button pocket of my band patch denim jacket. This jacket has no, and still has no holes in any of the pockets. It's the one thing of my teen years I choose to keep because it kept well. We had this first one there gets the first round joke that we listened to sometimes, and I got there first, of course. It was payday, and I figured since there were only 4 of us, it wouldn't break my bank as we always ended up spotting one another as the night went on. We got to the bar to pay for our drinks, and my debit card wasn't in my pocket, but my keys and a crisp red $50 bill folded neatly in its place. I'm baffled at this point, as I know I didn't get a chance to stop at the bank to pull out any money, and worried that my debit card is now missing. I checked every single pocket on my outfit anyways, but it wasn't there. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, as there was a long line behind us and the night had just begun. Though I was truly freaked out, as this was also a new series of currency notes that just hit circulation. In Canada, our 50 note changed in 2012 to this, and it only stuck out to me because I'm a cashless person. The last time I had money out was at least 2 weeks prior to that night. It was paper money, not the polymer syrup smelling stuff, and it was already spent up. I paid with the new bill anyway, without ever thinking to really inspect the bill. I got home that night, and my debit card was still sitting in my wallet on my bedside table. My online bank account only showed my payroll deposit. There was no $50 withdrawal or any other transactions the day before. So where did it come from? 2012, I decided to just say, thanks for the free money, universe, and thought nothing more of it. Fast forward to October 2020. I still have this jacket hanging up in my closet. But I've since moved to a rural community. I've seen my jean jacket hanging up in my closet and thought, hey, it's been a rock of ages. And due to my own stupid pun on the Def Leppard patch I had on it for nostalgia. Dumb, I know, but I was happy it still fit. And out of habit, I checked all the pockets for holes. There were none. If there was, I would have chosen a different jacket. Being on a budget, I carefully folded a $50 bill I took out the day before and put it in the front pocket of my jacket with my key and phone in the hand pocket. I had been conflicted about bringing my debit card, so it was out on my desk and I left it there. At a grocery store in a nearby town, I get to the counter and reach into my front pocket. No bill. But now I had my debit card tucked away with my keys. Freaked out, but thinking I must have just changed my mind last minute as I needed gas on the way home, I just paid for my groceries with my card and assumed the $50 bill was left on my desk instead, since it wasn't anywhere else in the car. I only checked because as an anxious person, I tend to check I still have my money in my pocket periodically, even if it's a zipper pocket. I had my money in the store the whole time until I got to the counter. So weird. When I got home, the money wasn't on the monitor but my credit card. Weirder, I checked my bank account app and it said right there that I had withdrawn $50 the day before. 2020, I could only say, what the hell, universe? And thought nothing more of it until last week, when I started binge reading this subreddit. I just feel so detached right now, since putting these two seemingly separate events together in a way where it makes both complete and no sense at all. There is a fitting symmetry here, but the how doesn't make any sense. I'm now super wary of finding money in old clothes, because in my mind now, it's likely all the cash I thought I had lost over the years. What even is this reality? Bonus file, written by cherrybxb, Secrets of the Single Slash. I live in a rural place and in a heavily wooded area. I've always felt totally safe in the woods, even at night. I used to go for night walks all the time. I'm not really a skeptic. I do believe in some paranormal things, though I've never had an experience until this one. Regardless, I still always try to find the most logical explanation, and I don't often feel scared or unnerved by things. This experience, however, really freaked me out, and I've been thinking about it ever since it happened. So this was a few weeks ago. My parents had gone to bed, but I wanted to stay up late, so I settled into the living room to read. Our living room has these giant windows almost covering the entire wall. I left the blinds open and turned on one lamp and sat right by the window. My elder dog, who had already been let out to go to the bathroom for the night and was back inside, started pacing the house and barking and wouldn't settle down. This is unlike her. She's super old, so she usually goes right to bed, and she knows not to bark in the house like that. We let her out again and she went right back in. We gave her some food, and for about an hour, she kept pacing and barking. She wasn't even barking at the windows or looking outside. She just paced up and down the halls and barked at nothing in particular. This kind of weirded me out, but I just shrugged it off, and then she finally settled down to sleep in my parents' bedroom. About 20 minutes later, I was reading on the couch by the window with my cat when I heard an animal walking outside. I only heard it take a few steps. It sounded large, and I figured it was probably a deer. My cat jumps up and acts super interested in what's outside, pacing up and down the windowsill and peering out there. Then, after a few minutes, the screen of my window furthest from me across the room starts shaking violently, like something is shaking and banging on them really hard. Again, these windows span the whole wall. It startled me, and I looked over. I couldn't make anything out in the dark or see what was outside. And then the shaking and banging grew even more violent, and the windows next to me started shaking too. My cat freaked out and ran out of the room. I was really scared and did something you'll probably think is kind of silly. I literally closed my eyes and threw the blanket over my head and waited for it to stop. The shaking/banging lasted for several more seconds. I remember being taken aback by how much force seemed to be behind it. I just couldn't bring myself to look. I had an awful feeling, and I think if I looked and saw something horrible, it would really traumatize me. It finally stopped, and I stayed under the blanket for 2 entire hours before I could work up the nerve to get up and go to my bedroom. The next morning, after I woke up, I calmed down a lot and figured it was probably some kind of animal. I went outside to go look at the window to see if I could find tracks or something to look at the screens. What I found made my skin crawl. There was a single, long, diagonal slash in the window screen of the window I was sitting right next to. If you are standing in front of where the slash is and looking inside, the slash aligns right over the spot I was sitting. No tracks. So that's creepy as all hell. And what's weird to me is that if it were an animal, why weren't there more slashes? Just one single, deliberate slash is strange. There were absolutely no scratch marks or slashes anywhere else on the screens or around the windows, just that one. The other screens were just pretty loose now. If it was a bird, I would have heard wings flapping. I feel like I would have heard animal sounds if it were any kind of animal. If it was a person, which is even scarier to me, I would think someone would do something like this, would have taken it further, and probably would have done more to scare and intimidate me than just shaking some windows and slashing one, and then leaving just to scare me. Besides the shaking and banging, there were absolutely no other sounds, and since we live rurally, the chance that it was a person seems more unlikely. And of course, again, there were no tracks anywhere. It freaks me the hell out, but there's nothing I can really do about it other than put up trail cams. Nothing like this has ever happened to me the entire time I've lived here. A few nights before this happened, I actually started to feel some bad vibes from the woods at night. To be honest, like I said, I am normally very at ease with them, but I was out smoking a few nights before in my backyard and just felt like I was being watched and something was just making my skin crawl. And I had been avoiding going outside at night again, and then this happened.